Here we go. Kinesiology 223, Chapter 19. We're going to be talking about determinants of exercise adherence and environmental factors, roughly page 470, 474. Let's get into this and get going. So we talked about personal factors and environmental factors, right? We talked about this before, and you look at being able to parse out the things that kind of make a person tick and the things that affect a person, whether it's internally to themselves or within their immediate environment. Environmental factors can be any number of different things that hold a person back or keep a person from going to the gym. So I hope you remember this. We just had this presentation and we're going to build off of this from before. So environmental factors can be the social environment, the physical environment, the facility, and even the physical activity itself. With environmental factors, they can be the building, the facility itself, like I mentioned, the intensity of the exercise, the family if they're being supportive, peers if they're being supportive. Even the exercise environment has a group of peers that can be supportive or not to exercise. And the other part of that's kind of quirky is like weather, time constraints, and distance to and from the facility. Now, these are all things that can be limiting factors. So down here they list when a person lives or works close to a fitness club and receives support from their spouse, they're probably going to have greater adherence and be able to manage their time effectively. Well, okay, that makes sense. Now, I would tell you that, say, if you're somebody who wants to be involved in powerlifting or weightlifting, you might drive past 3 or 4 different gyms to go to the gym that you want that has the culture that you specifically want for the social environment. Now, the social environment they list can come from family, friends. Many times you have work fitness competitions that attempt to kind of leverage this social aspect to be able to get people to be more involved in fitness. But I will also contest this, like when you have a particular gym, and I've said it before, that might be a Hydrox, trying to think of the other one, Orange Theory, thank you, or a powerlifting gym. Those will have social environments that are inherent to those facilities and might sometimes have a greater draw than maybe some of the support you get from family and friends. So it's kind of quirky in terms of your fitness goals, in terms of like choosing your friends and choosing your playground. But this is key, and this has been something that's been in the industry for decades. Spousal support is quite literally one of the, if not the number one determinant if a person will continue with an exercise program, especially if the spouse is involved in an exercise program or they're doing something parallel to what you're doing in a fitness facility. So the physical environment, they talk about location, 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 and being nice and close to your in nice close proximity to your facility. I agree with this. The easier it is to get there, the better. I mean, there's plenty of people who have fitness facilities in their home and they don't use them. But I will tell you, if you're going to go to a fitness facility and it's right down the street, it's going to be very easy to stop by after work, stop by in the afternoon on a weekend. It eliminates the physical barrier to any kind of travel. And even in a snowy or inclement weather, it allows you to show up and go do a quick workout. But you'll still have individuals, and I said this earlier, who might drive past 2 or 3 other facilities to go to a particular powerlifting gym that they like, or go do a particular class that they like at a facility. Very common to have that. It's almost like fitness nomads where they move around into different places and work out in different spaces. You'll have different facilities that can be more enticing, right? For people, it's more visually stimulating in terms of like how it looks. Is it nice inside? What are what's the parking like? Is it something where it's a safe space to walk at night, but it's dark out? And it could be something as simple as, do you live in an environment with inclement weather? Are you somebody in a climate that has a lot of rain? Is it very hot? These are the things that can inhibit or keep people from going to the gym. One of the best things though, and I love this down here, activity levels are lowest in winter and highest in summer, but in addition, observational studies have found that time spent outdoors is one of the best correlates to physical activity in preschool children. So you got to get outside. And I would also kind of push that agenda in terms of, people might get up in the morning, go down to their gym, feel like they've completed something, but sometimes you just got to get outside and you get amongst nature, if you will, to be able to feel more fit. For many people with this, in terms of lack of time, it's just more of a lack of interest and lack of commitment. It's also a lack of ability to manage their schedule or desire to manage their schedule. So with physical activity or physical inactivity, it might have to do with more to do with poor time management, right? And then too little time. There's plenty of time. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, and I still go work out. But other people will say they just don't have it. And you just have to find a way to carve it out of your day, or find a way to carve it into your day within the context of what you're already doing. Make no mistake about it. Some people's schedules are jammed with work, with family, with kids going to soccer practice. But a mom or a father could drop their kid off at soccer practice and power walk through the park while the kids are practicing. Simple. Physical activity characteristics, that comes down to, if you're seeing a person or going to work with a person who creates fitness programming, and is it something that is appropriate, right? So a well thought out and structured program as appropriate for the participant will increase persistence. I've seen so many trainers do this the first time they meet their client. The client comes in and they absolutely crush them. And they're doing that as a way to kind of win them over, to show how great they are as a trainer. But what they're really showing them is what the person already knows. The person already knows they're out of fitness. They don't need to be shown how out of fitness they are by having a crushing workout thrown at them. So general workout intensity does matter, right? So you have to have workouts that are appropriate for the person when you first see them. Day one, workout one, might be very low level. You're just kind of doing a meet and greet, a show and tell, a light workout to kind of indoctrinate to the facility. And then as they become more familiar with the equipment, more accustomed to the actual environment, more comfortable with the environment, then you can increase the workout intensity. But day one, workout one, oh my goodness, I've seen so many trainers just fail miserably at doing that. Please don't do that to your clients. With physical activity characteristics, they talk about frequency, intensity, and duration. I hit on this a little bit before. And with the fit concept, you're talking about frequency, intensity, time, frequency, intensity, duration is part of that as well. And it's a matter of understanding what your client or participants can and cannot do. And that high intensity exercise is more stressful on the system than low intensity exercise. And we know that exercise is another stressor on the system. And so here you go, you have somebody who's brand new, you take them into a high intensity workout for the first workout, you're placing another big stressor on their bodies. They can't handle it. They go right into fight or flight. Their sympathetic nervous system is off the charts because they're so overwhelmed and you've stressed their system out so much. You have to ease people into these workouts. You have to ease them in and understand that, yes, we're going to go and reach towards higher intensities as we continue to work out, but not day one, not workout one. For today, we're just going to do low grade, nice, simple workout, get you accustomed to what's going on, and we're going to ramp up from here. So I don't know if I agree with this. Allowing participants to select exercise intensity levels. I think for some individuals, they won't have an idea of just how much of a stressor to place on the system, or they might inadvertently apply too much of a stressor on the system. And I think when you have people come in, you have to have them paired up with a trainer who is capable to apply the right amount of stressors to not blow the person out of the water, to get the training response that you want. But with this, to let people completely choose what they want to do, I don't agree with this, even with obese and sedentary, but it's in the book, and I want to give a little input from my perspective on that. Level of past activity may moderate the effects of exercise intensity and adherence. Specifically, it was found that participants with higher levels of past physical activity exhibited better adherence to higher intensity exercise. That's absolutely correct because their bodies are more familiar with higher intensity exercise, and it's something that doesn't freak them out the first time that they do it, if I can use a technical term. And so they're accustomed to and they've been acclimated to that style of training. Physical activity characteristics, walking programs, people who walk and hike will love walking and hiking. And they might not like strength training, but you have to have people understand that they can do strength training side by side with walking or hiking. And I think there's some limitation here in terms of allowing your people to choose what they want to do because they're seeking you out as a fitness professional and you have to have the voice in the room to say, okay, that's great. This is what you know. You don't need me to teach you how to hike or walk. It's something you've been doing for the last 20 years. You're bringing me in for my skill and expertise and be able to design a program that integrates in other components around your fitness and walking. So I wrote, perhaps generalities would work best in terms of working with individuals and being able to have a better understanding of individuals. I have to say, when I look at this and I read this paragraph yet again, individuals who were exercising 50% less of their aerobic capacity, that's fine, but you got to understand that you have different people who have different backgrounds and experiences in fitness and working out with different protocols. And 50% to one person might seem like nothing, whereas it'll be overwhelming to another. So I think you kind of have to look at this in terms of like what generalities would work best if you're going to make a broad statement like that in the book. And they further conclude that, in terms of adherence, the people who will drop out will have like that discomfort when exercising. And I think, again, you have to work people into that uncomfortable zone. You're asking people to make a change. They've come to you to help them be an agent of physical change. And as a result, you're taking them outside of what is familiar and what is their comfort zone. And as a result, they're going to feel discomfort. To me, it's like simple math to talk it out. But again, with what they said earlier in terms of like past activity to moderate the effects, that's 100%. If somebody's familiar with exercise and working out at a higher level, they'll be more comfortable with it. And that's where you take them through a workout and they're comfortable today. You show them what they did and then you add a little bit. You show them what they did, then you add a little bit. So you're adding the level of intensity or increasing it incrementally over time. And they have no knowledge of this until you actually show them where they came from the month before. So to that point, I mean, you have a group of people who are going to come in who will be familiar with the process of working out and fitness. And then you'll have people who are not, and you have to handle them a little bit differently. With physical activities characteristics, they talk about comparing the group with individual programs. Group programming, you have enjoyment with others, social support, increases sense commitment. You have that social structure in place. And it shows that group exercise lends to greater exercise adherence than exercising alone. I think that just makes sense because you have a social structure in place and people can hold each other accountable. Now, within the characteristics, when you think back to the environment and programming that might be offered in different environments, I talked about it before, powerlifting will draw population as opposed to CrossFit, box, or similar. And it becomes almost self-fulfilling to the facility, right? You draw these people and you have a culture that's self-fulfilling and it draws in other participants who are seeking a particular style of workout in that group setting, and they hold each other accountable as part of that culture. It just logical, makes sense. Physical activity characteristics, they talk about the leadership qualities of the person who maybe owns the facility or who runs the gym or who handles the personal training. But what they note here that's specific in your takeaway is democratic leadership styles enhance self-determination, and participants will have increased adherence rates as a result of that. All right, guys. So if you're going to own a gym, have a democratic leadership style and enhance self-determination, so you'll end up having greater adherence rates, meaning retention rates, and you won't have to go ahead and try to continually bring new people into your facility because you'll have people sticking around. All right, guys, moving on to the next presentation.